PhDs and this and that, all of you could have come 6 weeks and actually put something forward, because maybe because before we could have said it was a David Wood thing. David Wood didn't have the answer to the 4 questions. He's a philosopher. He didn't engage once with the philosophical argument. I said, how can you have 3 Almighties? I told him the Quranic argument will crush him that day. And 6 weeks later, it didn't only crush him, it crushed the whole Western apologetics world. No one had any answers, and no one has any answers, and no one will have any answers. And the reason why is because it's a straightforward, logical contradiction. You can't have 3 Almighties. You can't have 3 gods with a small g or big G, whether they are persons or not. Now, obviously, they'll come to me and say, we don't believe in 3 gods. I say to them, and this is the point I made. I looked at their works. I looked at the works of William Lane Craig. I've looked at the works of Paul Copan. I looked at the works of the guys that he takes as philosophical authorities. And all of them had the same argument. And I realized this social Trinitarianism, let me put it forward, let me put an argument, and let's see how he reacts to the argument. He is qualified, fully qualified to answer these questions. And to my dismay, all that he could put forward was an attempt to attack me. I mean, 6, and then they make these shows. I can't even watch them. I'm in Turkey, I'm in Ghana, and these countries with Ali, and I see every other day that they're putting up a Muhammad hijab says the earth, man, God. And come on, and then they say, oh, God has parts. And that's another thing they say. They say, oh, Muhammad hijab says there's no scholar that says God has. I don't even know. I don't even watch their videos. But I would like to know from the mainstream who says Allah yatajazza. Allah does not have parts. I stick by that. What I said in the debate, no one in the history except for the Kiramiyya, some group of the anthropomorphists which were basically excommunicated by almost every other people. Yes, they said they anthropomorphized Mujassima. They did tashseem of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They anthropomorphized him. Yes, and then they were excommunicated from Islam as a result of such tashseem or such anthropomorphism. But apart from those individuals, I'm talking about who we represent, who are the bulk of the Muslims in creedal form. They're either Ash'ari or Athari or Maturidi. That's the 3. You're not going to get any, you could get something else. You could even bring a Shia group. They didn't say this. Shias didn't say this. We have to be honest. The Shias didn't say that Allah has parts. The Ash'aris didn't say this. The Maturidis didn't say this. The Atharis did not say this. Yes, the Atharis did not say, no Athari in the face of the earth. I said the Allah has parts, literal parts. I would like to know one Athari who has ever said, one Athari, meaning someone who follows the madhab or the manhaj of the Salaf, or the Hanabila, the Hanbalis, someone who follows this creedal form of thought that says Allah yatajazza. I just want to see one person that says Allah yatajazza. Allah has parts. I don't think they exist. I didn't do istiqra, but I'm 100% sure that no one said this from any of the schools, even the ones that we don't accept, like the Shia and Ithna Ashari or the Zaydiyya, Ismailiyya, any of those individuals. For the sake of argument, bring them in. Who said that Allah has parts, literal parts? Look, give me the names. They do ithbat. Now there's a difference between those, the Hanabila or the Atharis, who do ithbat of the sifa. So they say Allah, say that, for example, we do ithbat of the sifa, bila takyif, wala ta'til, wala tamthil, wala tashbih. They say, for example, that, oh, Allah has, Allah is loving. In the same way, not in the same way as we are loving, and so on. So they do ithbat of the sifa, but they don't do tamthil or tashbih of it. But that's nothing to do with tajseem. No one says Allah has parts. I stick by this. I want to know, apart from the Kiramiyya, who said this? So the point I'm making to you is, don't waste my time with these arguments. And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. If they actually believe that it's problematic for a God to have parts, why do they believe in Jesus as God?
Yeah.
He's a human. Simple as that. I mean, you've just shot yourself right in the foot, man.
With the shotgun.
So it's like they know they're wrong. SubhanAllah, they know they're wrong,
yes.
And they're saying, okay, we're wrong. It's implicit in this kind of argument. We know we're wrong. Okay, let me try and find in your tradition where we can try and force our understanding of religion on your religion.
You have no legs to stand on.
Yeah, they have no legs to stand on. So guys, no one in history said that, for example, those Athari creed from the Sahaba, from anyone from the, look at the tafsir of al-Tabari. Yes, I will tell you, look at tafsir of al-Tabari to all of the verses of the Quran, look at the hadith, anything, up until Ahmad, up until Ibn Taymiyyah, anyone, no one says Allah yatajazza. I'm sorry, no one says that in the Athari school at all. the Ash'aris don't say that, of course, and the Maturidis, of course, and even the Ash'ari don't say that, and no one says that. Yeah, so don't waste my time. What else? What other things did they say? Elijah. I mean, what the hell, man? In a debate. Okay, I made the mistake. I said Elijah. I confused it with Emmanuel. Is this really the straw that you're perching on? Is it really it? How does that affect my argument? I want to know how that affects my argument. No, honestly, if it's to do with me, I'm weak. I can tell you. I'm weak. Yes, I admit I am weak. Yes, I'm weak. It's about Mohammed HIJAB. Mohammed HIJAB is going to go into the grave, and everyone's going to forget about Mohammed HIJAB. Well, no one's going to forget about the argument Mohammed HIJAB made. The 700,000 people on my channel and 300 on his channel, and maybe the million in other languages. So far, 2 million people that have watched that debate are not going to remember Mohammed HIJAB's performance. They're going to remember Mohammed HIJAB's arguments, which are not Mohammed HIJAB's arguments. They're the Quran's arguments. That's all it is, man. And the Quran is what. Do you know why I say it's the Quran's argument? Because this is all the arguments I made are from the Quran. I'll prove it now. I told them the argument of the 300 years. That's the first thing. Someone in the first 300 years. I was implying by that they borrowed from mythological traditions. The Quran says that. It says, يُضَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَنَّ يُؤْفَكُونَ. The Quran says that they, i.e. the Christians and the Jews, but in particular here, we're talking about the Christians because it's topic of our discussion. يُضَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ. They are copying the policies that came before them. So in other words, there was borrowing, borrowing from the ideas of those who came before. The polytheistic, paganistic ideas. That's not my argument, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Quran saying this. That's what the Quran says. Yes, but they are copying that. How do we know that? So I looked at the primary source materials and I found, actually, when you look at these things, it looks like there's been because it was the Roman Empire, ladies and gentlemen. It's difficult to break the Roman Empire away from polytheism and mythology. Very difficult. Totally difficult. And that's why if anyone knows anything about Christian history, they'll know in the first 300 years, or in the first 200 odd years, they were being persecuted, yes? They were being killed in Nero and all they were being killed, the Christians were being killed. Why? Because they had this new revolutionary idea of God, right? And so on. So it's not a faraway speculation to assume, or it's not even a speculation, it's not a faraway thing to say, that actually, especially without evidences, it's possible that there could have been cultural borrowing here. Pre-literary items have been inserted into the text, and there are proof of that. There's proof that pre-literary items have been inserted into the biblical corpus. So if that's the case, the Quran is telling me that. The Quran tells us that the Bible has been altered and changed. So I make the argument. The Quran tells me that the other argument I made about rationality, about how could there be three almighties. لَعَلَى بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. They would have, if that was the case, they would have tried to outstrip one another. وَلَا فَسَدَتَا. The universe would not exist. So all of these arguments are not my arguments. They are simply me looking at the Quran and making sense of the Quran and thinking, okay, this is what Allah intended. That's the only reason why he looked like that day. Because it wasn't because of me. I don't want anyone to think it's because of me. I just had a few. Anyone could have done the same job as I did, exposing him on this issue. Because simply, it's the Quranic argument, which is the stronger argument, which is why when Islam came into North Africa, people were ready to become Muslim, frankly, because they were ready for it, because they were ready for that. Not only the fitrah, but they didn't believe in a lot of them did not believe in the hypostatic union, etc. They believed in a different model. Biophysicism or something like that. They believed in a different in North Africa. Yeah, they didn't believe in that was a split. Anyway, that's the point. So when Islam came, they recognized monotheism and pure simple monotheism. They accepted it easy. Simple as that. Although yes, the Berbers took a long time to convert, and there's lots of issues that happened along the way. We're not trying to say. One more point. The guy was making. I think he made an argument, and I didn't have time to be honest with you. We've been traveling. We have not had time to answer him all these points. Well, he was saying that I said Islam spread organically. Remember when there was a Christian guy asked me a question of how Islam being spread by the sword, and I said, look, Christianity has been spread by the sword, because he was trying to imply that the Christianity was not spread by the sword or whatever. And so he said to me, look, I am apologetic to the extent where I'm disregarding the conquest of the early days. No. In the same debate, I said we're very proud of the conquest in the early days. People have to realize something. At the time of, we're talking about the Middle Ages, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the Middle Ages, medieval empire. Now there was no John Locke, there was no liberalism. All of that stuff didn't even exist. Yeah. So we're talking about
visas and borders and all this.
No, we didn't have borders, but we didn't have visas, right? Maybe. But what I do want to say is this: is that in such a place, look at the Roman Empire, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, from what 55 BC? I don't know when it established itself in the, maybe 55 BC or something like that. Yeah. So it's been around for years. Yeah. And what has it been doing? All it's been doing is colonizing and expanding its empire. The Sassanid Empire, which was the other empire at that time, they're not liberal empires. You don't look. I was watching Jordan Peterson. Yes, he said that he's using the same argument. He was saying, Jordan Peterson, yeah, this guy, he's intellectual. He's saying Islam is a totalizing force. Because why? Because he's talking about the early expansion and invasions. And we're not saying they're not conquest. We are saying they are conquest. Here's my answer to it. Jordan Peterson, David Wood, and all those individuals. Islam was a totalizing force, yes, in a totalizing world. Because it had to be, because everything else is either eat or be eaten. What are you talking about? You're going to say, I want to shake your hand to the Roman Empire, they'll slap you and take you over. I don't know what the controversy is. Here's the big difference. The difference is converting people within your own empire. Now here's the point I wanted to make. Islam explicitly forbids the compulsion of people that are not Muslim into Islam. That's my point. If you're not Muslim, you can't be converted into Islam. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen in all of history. It must have happened, yes? But I am saying Islam forbids it. The Christian empire, how did it spread? How did Christianity spread, ladies and gentlemen? It spread because Constantine decided, he had a dream, yes? He had a dream, he saw the cross, all those things, he became Christian. This was around maybe the early 4th century, which means 300s, yeah? And then there were lots of edicts that were put in place, like the Edict of Milan, which was the first 313, which was an edict to allow for peace and tolerance for the Christians, etc. But the point is, in 381 Theodosius II, because of the Theodosian Code, they forced Christianity, the Nicene version of Christianity on all of the empire.
Mohammed Hijab, can I ask you just one simple question? It will just be 10 seconds. I'm not heckling.
No, please, I'll come to you.
I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you going to call the Christian Prince show? That's all I want to know.
I'll come, yes,
You're not going to call
Let me answer.
I'm just going to ask just one question. You're not going to call. No, I'm just saying.
I'll answer. No, I'll answer the question. I will answer that. Yes, I will answer. Yes.
Thank you.
No problem. There's someone called Christian Boy who's been challenging me. Christian Boy's been challenging me online.
Christian Prince.
Christian Boy. So Christian Boy's been challenging me. I say no problem. I accept it. No, his name is Christian Boy. Christian Boy is no. If Christian Boy wants to actually come down,
we renamed him. He's reborn.
Christian Boy. Yeah. If Christian Boy wants to come, I am accepting the challenge, ladies and gentlemen. I only debate people who show themselves come face to face. Yeah, so he has to come here. If he confirms a date with me, matches my schedule and his schedule, we'll make it happen. He will speak in school in London. He can bring all his cameras, he can bring his friends, he can bring everyone he wants to bring. No problem. I accept the challenge. Here in Speaker School in London. If he's not allowed in the country for whatever reason, then tell me where he is, and then maybe we can arrange something, but that's not guaranteed. Here is something which is very easy for us to organize. So I don't deal with things on YouTube, these things on Skype, and all. Sorry. People cut people off. I don't accept it. I want to see the person in front of me. Yes, that's all it is. Yes. And Christian Boy has a problem with munaqabat anyway.
A little boy.
He has a problem. I heard that he has a problem with women who can't cover their face.
Oh, really?
Yes. And if he has a problem,
he doesn't show his face at all.
I heard that he has a problem with munaqabat, or women who cover their face. But he's covering his whole body, and he's covering his identity. I've never seen him.
He doesn't even show the eyes.
Yes. But even in munaqabat, she should have physical appearances in front of you. You know that she exists. So we don't even know if he exists, if he's a human being. We don't even know he's a person. As far as
male or female.
So Christian Boy, if he wants to come,
might be a female.
Could be anything. So if Christian Boy wants to come, he can come to Speaker's Corner London, and then he can see me here, and I will be more than happy to speak to him in whatever language he wants. That's fine. Now, moving on. So the point of Islam spread by the sword. So the point is, the difference I wanted to identify was that the Roman Empire was a pre-established empire. Does this make sense? There was no such thing as the Islamic Empire. That was made, it was carved into the Islamic Empire. Yeah, so the bigger enemy, that's the point. You had the Roman Empire, the Muslims had to fight them. preemptively. I'm not saying it was defensively. Yes, it was. Yeah, but what is yeah, it was a superpower. Either you're gonna wait for them to come and beat you up, and
they were trying to.
Yes, and they were trying to. They were trying to. They were gonna do it anyways. Either they were gonna do it, or you're gonna do it.
And they came.
Look, let me tell you something.
Where's Saidi-El?
Right? Ladies and gentlemen, people ask the question. So does that mean? Now answer this question directly. I'll answer this question directly. Yeah. Does that mean today you encourage expansionism? All these things? No, we say that Islam is what we say, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we say that Islam has an inbuilt flexibility, and this inbuilt flexibility comes from the legal maxims that we know from something called usul al-fiqh, which means the principles of jurisprudence. But we also know, ladies and gentlemen, that there were times when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would make peace treaties with other nations. So in other words, it's completely discretionary. Whatever is best for the nation. If a nation intends peace, another nation intends peace, then the Muslims can say, look, let's have a peace treaty, and then let's not expand into each other's borders and so on. But if they don't intend peace because they have only a record of invasion, it makes no sense. The Quran actually the Quran tells us you're not allowed to make peace treaties with those individuals who break their peace treaties. But then if you do make a peace treaty, you have to honor it. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu awfu bil uqud. Chapter 5 verse 1. Oh, you who believe, now that could be a war covenant or otherwise. So we're not advocating that. But we don't even have such a government of unified complexion. We don't have it. So this is a hypothetical question anyways. But the point I'm making is simple, is that, and this is not just the Islamic personality, it should be the Muslim personality. We are reactionary. In the sense that if we're living in a totalizing world, then if you're living in a world where everyone's fighting, if you're not a fighter, you'll be beaten. And if you're living in a world where people want to shake your hand, if you fight them, that might be the wrong thing to do. So we respond accordingly. And that's the right thing for the Muslims to do. And it's all about when and where. That's our motto. We don't believe that, okay, it's now we have to do this and that. No, we say it depends on context. Simple as that. Sometimes if you make peace treaties, you make peace treaties. If it makes sense to preemptively strike and do this jizya. What's jizya? Oh, the jizya. Yeah, we used to get the people to pay jizya. We loved the jizya. Why? Because it was less than zakat. You know, the jizya is less. Why? They say, why is it called jizya? It's a discriminatory tax. Of course it's discriminatory, but to the Muslims, they have to pay more.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know this? The Muslims pay more on zakat than a lot of people. Yes.
And the women. Yes, Muslim women have to, but the non-Muslim women don't have to.
Discussion on that. But the point I'm making is, I'm making what's jizya? Why is it a different name? Because it has different functionality, ladies and gentlemen. The zakat has a spiritual functionality. What's jizya for us? We believe that if the Christian, it's our belief, Christians and Jews, they cannot be purified if they believe in the Trinity or polytheism. So it cannot fulfill the same spiritual functionality. That's the main difference. So don't make the jizya out to be something extraordinary. It's completely uncontroversial, in my opinion. Right? It's completely uncontroversial. It's just a tax that people have to pay. Are you telling me that you don't want taxes? I mean, they say any government without taxation, taxation without representation. Why is there no taxation at all?
Also, the non-Muslims, no matter Jewish man, and he looked at him.
Part of pension.
Yes, he said to you should
They get pensions. They get military service pension or whatever. Look, so they have the wrong idea of Islam. This is the reality of the situation. So Islam was spread. And by the way, this might sound like apologetic. Yeah, so okay, well, this guy's an apologist. Okay, open, what do you call it? A Jawab al-Sahih. By Ibn Taymiyyah, he's not an apologist. You know, he was a 12th century scholar, lived about 700-800 years ago, whatever it was, yeah? And he wrote a whole chapter on this. He said, those who say that Islam was spread by the sword, and he said this is what they say because they have no other reason to, they want to comfort themselves. And he starts speaking about it in detail. And the truth behind the claim, the weakness behind the claim, and so on. This is no response to Western polemics. We don't care about what the West has to say, to be honest with you. We have our own religion, and there's a big section of commonality between Orthodox Islam or traditionalist Islam and the Western world. But at the same time, there's a big difference between us as well. Yeah, and that's how it is. So we're not doing this as apologetics. We don't care. I'm not trying to because what is apologetics? Justifying a controversial idea. Yeah, I'm telling you the historical facts. That's what I'm doing. Yeah? I'm trying to tell you that there was a time where there was conquest. I like that. I like reading about that. I mean, I don't. Or you had the Roman Empire and this and that. It's enjoyable for me to read this. I'm not going to distort history. So, nutshell. I don't think. What other things you say I said? Anything else that needs clarification?
He hasn't answered up. He said that the Holy Spirit strengthens the mind of God.
Right. He didn't answer our question. No, but that's a different thing. I think he's done now. I think David was done. Yes.
Normally when Christians in this corner try to confuse the Muslims without they say that Allah says that He revealed the Torah and the Injil, and then they try to use their Bible. They say that we have the Injil. They say you should follow. Shed some light on that.
I did already in the debate when you asked me. I said, what Muhammad alayh? The answer is that the Quran came to be Muhammad, which means it came to oversee the previous scriptures. So obviously, if it came to oversee it and guard it, so it's sieving the truth and the falsehood, and we know all of those things in the Quran. No, not only that, we don't say that the Jews,